وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Almighty Allah, the entirely merciful and the specially merciful. Dear viewers and audience across this globe, I greet you with the greeting of peace, the greeting that our messenger, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, has taught it to humanity, to all mankind. Peace be unto all of you, which is in Arabic we say it, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'm reminding you that the main theme of these episodes is understanding Islam. The main purpose is we try to understand Islam, but our approach here, we will try to understand Islam from the exact speech, from the exact words of Almighty Allah, the one who sent His book, His message, the Holy Quran, to us as humans, for all of us. And by the way, to let you just know that this book is not just sent to humans, moreover, it is sent to the jinn. So not just for human beings, but it is sent to also the other creatures such as jinn. Today, I am going to look for and pick some verses, and I'll select one only, and this will add more depth to our understanding of this holy book, and to see some of the secrets of this book. And this in itself is an evidence that it is from Allah. When you see the meaning of this verse, when you understand it, and when you apply it in your life, you will see this. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. This verse is in Surah Ar-Ra'd, and this is ayah number 28. As it says, I will take part of it. الذي أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the people who have a strong belief in this religion. So he said that those people who already believed and they feel comfortable and they have tranquility in their hearts whenever the name of Allah is mentioned, whenever they remember the name of Allah, they feel very comfortable. Indeed, by the mention of the name of Allah, hearts and people feel very comfortable. They become tranquil. They feel this peace in their heart when the name of Allah or other names of attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised this caliber of human beings, and that's why you find all Muslims are doing their best to memorize and to recite the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala almost every day, so that they would feel very comfortable. And this is, you can see it by your life, by your own eyes. You can teach it. If you can touch it when you see the Muslims are doing it. Even some of the non-Muslims, they are affected by this. One of the stories that I heard, I think this perhaps more than 30 years ago, from a Kuwaiti scholar, he mentioned that one of the people, one of the engineers who was studying in the USA, and while he was studying engineering, at the end of the semester there was an exam. And in the hall, the exam was distributed to people, and it seems that the exam was very tough. So the people were nervous. Of course, most of them were non-Muslims, most of them were non-Arabs, And they were in this situation. So they were some sort of terrified. They were very anxious. And then one of them is a student, an Arab student, an Arab Muslim student from Kuwait. He asked the professor, because he saw, and he himself was terrified by the exam, and he asked the professor to let him play a tape. He told the professor that I have a tape and I want to play it because it will cool them down. And the American professor was very flexible. He said, play it. And he played it during the exam. And it was Surah Ar-Rahman. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان, until the end of the verse. The tape was playing. And the students started to feel relaxed and to feel very comfortable. And they started to cool down. And guess what? When the tape was stopped because it ended, what happened is that every student looked at this Arab Muslim student to replay it. And then he asked the professor, and the professor allowed him to replay it again. So you can see the impact of the Quran, the impact of mentioning the word Allah and other attributes had affected those nervous people, and they cooled down. It's quite obvious as an example. There are hundreds and many thousands examples in this area to show you that the mention of the word Allah cools people down. And I wish that you have a chance, or you have the opportunity to go with a Muslim when he or she visits a sick person in the hospital. You go and you find this sick person, right? Of course, all people, when they are sick, they don't feel comfortable. They are worried about death. They are worried about many other things. And you go there and you just recite. See the Muslim reciting some verses and making some supplications and dua that includes the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because all our supplications, we address them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of this universe. When you see this scenario, and I encourage every human being to take an advantage and to visit a Muslim sick person in a hospital, and you will see that the Muslims, the visitors to him or to her, they're doing this. You can see by your own eye the level of an anxiety of this sick person will cool down and will go down. And this is a confirmation, and this is a proof of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, that by the mentioning of my name, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or any of the attributes, you mention it and you recite some of the verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you will find the impact of it on people. From the bottom of my heart, I make this invitation to every human being so that they will see by themselves the impact of this book on people. Even if you go to people who don't understand Arabic, we have heard many stories that the taxi drivers, when they get some customers in their cars, and when the taxi driver start playing these tapes that have the recitation of the Quran, and the people would have different comments, and all of them go to this meaning. They would say that this is lovely. Please play it again. What kind of song is this? This is the words that they express. It's so beautiful. Can I take a copy of this? Because of what? Because the impact that it made on them just by mentioning this. There are many examples in the history. One of them is the example of the people, yes, of Mecca who were not Muslims, who were opposing Muhammad and trying to prevent Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from spreading his message. One time Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in al Masjid al-Haram around the Kaaba, and everybody, the people were scattered here and there. They were chatting with each other, yes. And all of a sudden Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up and started reciting some of the verses by Muhammad himself. Try to imagine the beauty of the words of Allah are recited by who? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Remember, who is the one who taught him is Jibreel, and Jibreel learned it from from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's the best of the best of the best. So he stood up and started reading from one of the verses of the Quran. And the people stopped chatting and started listening attentively to the recitation of the Prophet Muhammad from the Holy Quran. And listen, ayah after ayah, ayah after ayah. The more he recited, the more people started focusing until he reached this ayah that tells them, فَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ وَاعْبُدُوا. So the people were not Muslims. And the ayah commands them to prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And unconsciously or subconsciously, they fell down, they made prostration, they made sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they realized that this verse is from the Holy Quran, and their action acknowledges that they believe in it. So they were shocked. And the same thing happened, not only by this, by humans, but it happened. And the jinn themselves, when they listened to the Quran, as the Quran himself described, he said that, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنا سمعنا قرآنا عجبا يهدي إلى الرشد فآمنا به. Indeed, we learned to something amazing. These are the words of the jinn in describing the Quran. They were so Yahdi, it guides people to the truth. Yahdi ila al-haq. So here, even they themselves, they were affected, the jinn. And this is an example that ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. So indeed, by the mention of the words of Allah, the name of Allah, the other names and attributes of Allah, the hearts are affected. And I wish that you exercise this by yourself. When we hear about a dangerous situation, a calamity that happens, and the people are striving from fear, and they are scared to death, and they start just mentioning the name of Allah. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lahu, and all forms of dhikr that include the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they feel very comfortable, and the level of anxiety goes down. And I wish that Muslims themselves try to experiment this. And that's what we feel. We finish our prayer. After the prayer, before prayer, we will be in a situation when we go to a mosque and we attend the prayers and we listen to the name of Allah. After the prayer, we become very comfortable, and we feel very peaceful because of the impact of mentioning the names of Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وما يذكر إلا